مسلم اللهم صل على محمد يا رب بلغه الوسيلة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب هذه الفضيلة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارضى عن الصحابة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارضى عن القرابة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارضى عن السلالة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارضى عن الأئمة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارضى عن المشايخ اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارحم والدينا اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارحمنا جميعا اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارحم كل مسلم اللهم صل على محمد يا رب واغفر لكل مذنب اللهم صل على محمد يا رب أصلح كل مصلح اللهم صل على محمد يا رب واكفي كل مؤذي اللهم صل على محمد يا رب وارزقنا شهادة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب حفظنا بالسعادة اللهم صل على محمد يا رب حفظانك وأمانك اللهم صل على محمد يا رب أسكننا جنانك اللهم صل على محمد يا رب أسكننا جنانك اللهم صل على محمد يا رب أسكننا جنانك اللهم صل على محمد يا رب أجرنا من عذابك اللهم صل على محمد يا رب أذقنا بعد عفوك اللهم صل على محمد يا رب يا سميع دعانا اللهم صل على محمد يا رب لا تقضى رجانا اللهم صل على محمد يا رب بلغنا نزور
لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما اللهم اجعل أعمالنا خالصة لوجهك ولا تجعل فيها حظا لغيرك آمين يا رب العالمين. We greet each and everyone with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope everyone is doing well. And we find ourselves, alhamdulillah, in the blessed month of Ramadan. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran has been revealed. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to have entered this particular month. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have entered into the greatest of months, a month such that when the evening entered, نادى مناد, a caller called out, يا باغي الخير, O do of good, أقبل, come forth. ويا باغي الشر, ويا باغي الشر, أقصر, and O do of bad, stop. This is an opportunity for the seeker, the one who wishes to draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to excel in good, and for the one that wishes to change his life, stop from the sin, the call was made that he should now come forth as well. And so we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us maximum benefit in this month, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to gain the blessings of this month. May we attain the objective of this month, and that is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that perhaps we may attain taqwa. We are going to continue with our verses, and alhamdulillah, how fortunate are we that as we find ourselves in the month of Ramadan, which is the month of Quran, we find ourselves connecting once again to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we make dua that we are able to take maximum benefit this evening. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. We start with the ta'awudh to say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek protection by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan the cursed, and I start in the name of Allah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the especially merciful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us in the verses that we ended with in last week's session about an individual who initially was very interested. Initially, he was interested in embracing Islam. Initially, he was interested in following the teachings of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But someone informed him, and went at him and told him, why does he want to do this? And he responded because he is afraid of the chastisement. He is afraid of the reality of what's going to happen in the year after. He's afraid of the punishment. And this friend then convinced him that if he paid him enough, then he would take the responsibility and the burden on the day of Qiyamah. And subhanallah, this person fell for that particular advice. Then we can't really call it advice, but he fell for the statement that his friend made. And we then concluded our session with this particular discussion. And again, from there we see the importance of the company that we keep. We see the importance of correct knowledge. We see the importance of following proper guidelines. And so just to start off our session, I would like to read the last verses that we read, then going into tonight's session again to understand the context of the discussion, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي تَوَلَّى. Have you seen the one who has turned away? وَأَعْطَى قَلِيلًا وَأَكْدَى. He gave a little bit, and then he stopped giving. أَعِنْدَهُ, is by him عِلْمُ الْغَيْبِ, the knowledge of the unseen. فَهُوَ يَرَى, so he has seen it. Meaning, does he know the reality of the consequences of his choice that he's currently making to not believe in Islam, not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not follow the teachings of the Prophet, rather follow this person that is advising him? And does he know the result of this? Does he have knowledge of the unseen in relation to this? So this is a really big discussion in terms of our social activities, who we are connected to. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi," that the person will be on the way in the religion of his friend. فَلْيَنْظُرْ, and so the person should then look at who he takes as his bosom friend and his close friend. So number one, we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says good friends that will draw us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, friends that will be a mirror for us, that when we see our weaknesses, it's a means of us wanting to better ourselves. And when we see something good in that person, then we would like to emulate it. Subhanallah, the importance of friends cannot be under spoken about, and we need to discuss these things even more in detail, so that inshallah we make it part and parcel of our lives to ensure that we have the correct people that are connected to us, and those that are perhaps not wanting to tread a path towards Allah, sometimes we have to distance ourselves from them. Having said that, we go on to the next verse, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then asks in relation to this person, lam yunabba, was he not informed? From the word naba, information. Am lam yunabba, has he not been informed? Bima, with that which fi, was in suhuf, the scrolls or the scriptures of Musa. So Nabi Musa alayhi salam was given a certain message so many years ago, subhanallah, so many years ago. And so these messages that would come via the Quran. We will find that a huge portion of Surah Baqarah is dedicated to Nabi Musa and the Bani Israel. And the reason for this, it's a perfect opportunity for us to look at what the generations of the past have done and what we can then do to avoid having to do that. We'll find that in Surah Fatiha, a dua that we make a dua that we ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ihdina, O Allah, guide us. Ihdina, guide us, Sirat al-Mustaqim, guide us onto the straight path. What is the straight path? صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, the path of those whom you have favored. So in this dua that we are making, we are really asking to be on a path of the people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains who they are in another verse. وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ, whomsoever obeys Allah, وَالرَّسُولَ, and His Messenger, فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. So they are with those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored. Who is Allah favored? من النبيين, the prophets, والصديقين, the truthful ones, والشهداء, those who gave their lives in the path of Allah and through their efforts they were martyred, والصالحين, and the righteous. So we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of them every single day, make us guide us onto a path of those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored. And as we just mentioned, the company that we keep are so important to be able to stay on that path. But then the next part of the dua is غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. Oh Allah, do not make us of those who have earned your anger. And if we look at the tafsir explains this is something that's general, that we don't be of those who earned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's anger, but who you could say in a sense they perfected the art of earning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's anger. Who are they? The Bani Israel. And thus, when we make this dua, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, immediately in Surah Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts and He says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. That is the book. There's absolutely no doubt in it. This is an answer to your dua. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes who the people that He has favored. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the Bani Israel that earned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's anger. And so in terms of this أَمْ لَمْ يُنَبَّأْ بِمَا فِي صُحُفِ Musa, didn't they know, was he not informed of that which was in the scrolls of Nabi Musa, and that would come to us via the Quran, that would come to us to see what Nabi Musa went through, that would come to us to see how the Bani Israel responded. Did he not see that? Did he not see the path of Nabi Musa? Did not see the path of the Bani Israel and how they rejected. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, wa Ibrahim, and Ibrahim alayhi salam, alladhi, the one who waffa. It's a beautiful word. Waffa means someone who fulfilled his covenant, someone who fulfilled his responsibility to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, before I go into some detail about this word over here and the situation of Ibrahim alayhi salam, I want to finish the next verse and then connect it to the verses that we just discussed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, was he not informed about what was said to Nabi Musa alayhi salam in the scrolls of Musa, and what was told to Ibrahim alayhi salam? Ibrahim alayhi salam, the one who fulfilled his covenant to Allah. He fulfilled his responsibility to Allah. Does he not know, or was he not informed about what they were informed about as well? What were they informed about? Allah, that not taziru waziratun. A person will not bear the burden wizra ukhra of another. Allah taziru waziratun. A wazir, a person carrying a burden. Wazir is someone that's carrying a wizard. A wizard is a burden, something on your back, something heavy, something that is pushing you down, something that you can't handle any longer. A person carrying that, you will not carry the burden of another person. Allah taziru waziratun wizra ukhra. That no carrier would have to carry the burden of another person. So this is the message that has been given in the past. This is the message that is being given now to me and you. Nobody can take the responsibility for our actions. we are on this path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can be those that can assist us on this path. They can be those that are facilitating our path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they cannot take our responsibility. And this was in response to this particular person who accepted to pay so that someone else could take his burden and responsibility away. So this message is so profound as a reminder to me and you that everything we do is either for us, the death qiyamah, or it's against us. Everything we do is either going to ensure that our Jannah is being built and secured, or our place in Jahannam is being built and secured. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. Rasulullah has told us that for every tasbih that we make saying Subhanallah, then a tree is being planted in Jannah. And if you say Alhamdulillah, then something else is being planted in Jannah. And if you say Allahu Akbar, and so we, through our daily activities, through our adhkar, through our reading of Quran, through our salawat, through our fast, and through our qiyam, through our taraweeh and our tahajjud, we are preparing our Jannah. We are preparing our Jannah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the interesting part over here is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings these two amazing people in. Nabi Musa. Nabi Musa, we know that he went through every possible means to fulfill his duty towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone with a stutter, he goes to Fir'aun and he advises Fir'aun. Fir'aun does not listen, he has to take his people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him a miracle and the sea is split and is able to cross. But even though they cross and even though they see the miracle for the rest of time that Musa alayhi salam was with them, they disobeyed him. But he was someone that was steadfast on fulfilling his duty towards Allah. Likewise, Ibrahim alladhi waffa, the one who waffa, he fulfilled his responsibility towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so very importantly, we look at our own responsibilities. When we talk about responsibility, what is the purpose of our existence? Why have we been created? And this is an important question we need to ask ourselves. You know, imagine you live a life, the life has 60, 70 years, only to find out that you did not fulfill your purpose. You didn't fulfill your responsibility. You know, I made an example to a class one day that spoke about, imagine you have a boss that gives you an amazing position, very, very high position in a company. You're responsible for everyone that is in that company. You have the latest of equipment, you have everything that you need, and you just need to do what you need to do. And at the end of the year, he will come visit you and check how you're doing so that he can give you more and he can increase you. He can give you a promotion, he can give you a bonus, he can give you everything that you need. So in that time, you get sidetracked from your responsibility. In that time, you get involved with wrong friends. In that time, you get involved with the wrong things. As the result, slowly but surely, the company starts declining. Slowly but surely, the company is starting to lose clients. Slowly but surely, to maintain the company, of its equipment needs to be sold. And eventually, at the end of the year, when the boss comes to see you, the place is in a mess. It's almost bankrupt. Most of the most expensive equipment is gone. And he comes to ask you what happened. You know, what would such a situation be like when you are responsible for what had happened? What would it be like? What do you think the boss at that moment would tell you? Subhanallah. Now let's look at the flip side of the coin. Imagine the boss gives you that responsibility and you fulfill your responsibility to the best of your ability. You maintain composure, you maintain calm in the company, you ensure that the company is running well, you ensure that everyone that is under you is doing what they need to do on a daily basis. You're taking stock on a monthly basis, you're checking if everything is still in line with the objectives of the company. And at the end of the year, the boss comes to you and the business is flourishing. The business is doing extremely, extremely well. Everyone in the company is happy, everyone is smiling, and everyone is looking forward to the following year because of the way things were run via you whilst you were responsible. What do you think would be the response of the boss at that particular time? Now, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about these two great Anbiya, Nabi Musa and Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to Ibrahim alayhi salam as someone who waffa. He fulfilled his covenant and he fulfilled his responsibility. And so very quickly we're going to take a look at my and your responsibility, my and your purpose, because It's going to be a really, really sad moment in our lives if we come on the day of Qiyamah and we realize that I had a purpose, I had an objective, I was sent like the person that was responsible for the company, but he did the opposite of what he needed to do. But inshallah, with these types of discussions, which I believe to be very important as reminders, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, remind because reminders benefit a believer. With these reminders, inshallah, it can reconnect us to our goals, reconnect us to our purpose, reconnect us in fulfilling that, so that inshallah we can be resurrected with the likes of Musa alayhi salam, and we can be resurrected with the likes of Ibrahim alayhi salam that fulfilled their responsibility whilst they were here. What is mine, your responsibility? I would like to summarize it in 3 verses, inshallah, and we hope and pray that through these 3 verses we attach ourselves to the reality of mine, your responsibility, so that we can fulfill our responsibility as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Dariyat, number 1, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ, and He has not created jinn kind. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ, and mankind إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, except that they worship Him. This is our first responsibility towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we recognize Him through all His gifts, through all His creation, through all the signs, that we recognize Him and we worship Him. The word يَعْبُدُونَ, a very powerful word, comes from the word عَبَدَ. Abada means from the word abd. Abd means to be a slave. Now, in reality, we by nature are people who are seeking. We are connected to something all the time. That's how we've been created. We are seekers. We want to feel a connection to something. So, in terms of our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's either we an abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, an abd of Allah, or we're the abd of something else. We can be the abd of the dunya, slave of the dunya. We can be the abd of our work. We can be abd of our family, of our spouse, of our children. We can be an abd of wealth. We can be an abd of status. We can be an abd of shaitan. We can be an abd of our own nafs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the question, أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Have you seen the one who has taken his hawa, his lower-based desires, as his Allah? So the question is, which abd would we wish to be? Would you like to be the abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or do you wish to be the abd of something else? Alhamdulillah. What would be your choice? So this is the first point of reference. We are ibad of Allah. We need to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the best of creation, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as his abd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Isra, Subhanalladhi asra bi'abadihi. Glory be to Allah, Allah's feet of all perfection, the one who has taken his abd, his close abd to be the slave of Allah, his slave on this journey. Rasulullah was given this title, and so we need to understand it to be a beautiful title. Number 2, after realizing that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the malaika, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. And remember when we said to the malaika that we are going to create a representative and a vicegerent on this earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He's going to place a representative on this earth. And that representative from the word Khalifa is someone that is succeeded over and over and over. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed me and you as representatives of Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed me and you as believers, as representatives of the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So again, in terms of our responsibility, we are first ibad of Allah before we are anything. Before we are mothers, before we are fathers, before we are workers, before we are bosses, before we are anything, we are ibad of Allah. Then, in relation to being an abd of Allah, I'm a representative of this kalima La ilaha illallah. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, I'm representing Allah. I'm representing this kalima La ilaha illallah. I'm representing this deen of Allah. And so very important, and I made that analogy, an example of the person working in the company, to see when that person did not do his job, what was the end result. We could picture it very clearly. And when he did his job, what the end result would have been. Likewise, we don't want to come to the end of our journey not having fulfilled our purpose, not having fulfilled our responsibility. And then the third verse, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Mulk, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that's created death and life. Death coming first because we were non-existent and then we were brought into existence. Death and life. Why have we been placed here? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. In order to test you which of you are best in action. In order to test you which of you are best in action, who of you are wafa, fulfilling their responsibility. So 3 verses explaining to us our purpose, mine, your purpose, so that we can do it to the best of our ability and through that earn our Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the end of the first choose tilka ummatun qad khalat. These are the ones who the nations that have passed. Laha ma kasabat, for it is that which it has earned. وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ, and for you is that which you have earned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He speaks about Nabi Musa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about him with joy and with pride. Ibrahim alayhi salam with joy and with pride because they fulfilled their duty. They came, they did what they needed to do, and they left. And so it's our turn now. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to wafa, to fulfill our responsibility. At the end of these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us what will happen when we do fulfill our responsibility. But the message over here, very importantly, Allah taziru waziratun wizra ukhra. No one else is going to carry the burden of someone else. I can carry your burden, you cannot carry my burden. We can assist each other on that journey, but never ever will we be able to carry the burden of someone else. And then very importantly, I want to mention over here that on the day of Qiyamah there's going to be a moment where it seems like someone is carrying the burden of someone else, but that is not the reality of the situation. Rather, it is yourself that put yourself in that situation. Rasulullah asks the question, Atadiruna manil muflis? Do you know who the bankrupt person is? The Sahaba answered and they said, a person who la dinara wa la dirham lahu, he doesn't have gold and silver coins, he's bankrupt. Rasulullah says, no, bankrupt person is the one who comes on the day of Qiyamah and he has everything. He has Hajj, he has Salah, he has Zakah, he has Umrah, he has all the good deeds with him. But then people come and they stand in line and they say, you are the one that caused me harm. You are the one that stole from me. And they take his salah. And the next one comes, you are the one that was backbiting me. And they take his hajj. You are the one that used to beat me. And he takes something from him. You are the one that used to slander me. And he takes his zakah perhaps. Until the person no longer has any good deeds left. No longer has any good deeds left. Then there's still a line of people. There's still more people. And those people, they throw their bad deeds because you have no more good deeds to give onto you. And so at that point, it would look like you're carrying the burden of someone else. No, you put yourself in that position by the way you tread a path on this dunya. And so again, we are in the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is a month of refinement. The month of Ramadan is about watching what we say, watching what we look at, watching what we listen to, watching how we respond. It's not only about staying away from food and drink, as Rasulullah says, مَنْ لَمْ يَدَعْ قَوْلَ الزُّورِ, whoever doesn't leave of false speech وَالْعَمَلَ بِهِ, and doing things connected to false speech and wrong things, فَلَيْسَ لِلَّهِ حَاجَةٌ أَنْ يَضَعُ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ. Allah doesn't need him to stay away from food and drink. Allah doesn't need him to stay away from food. He missed the objective of the month of Ramadan. He doesn't understand what the month of Ramadan is about. It's about refining the self. Now that I'm most hungry, how am I going to respond? Now that I'm most hungry, how am I going to respond? This is what this month is about. A higher level of consciousness, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, to become conscious of Allah. So no person will be the burden of someone else. وَأَلَّيْسَ, and that there is not لِلْإِنسان, for mankind, for people, إِلَّا, except مَا سَعَى, that which he strives for. person will only get what he has put in. And so this is the journey of building our Jannah, as I've mentioned. We need to understand a very important concept that is consistent throughout the Quran. When Allah speaks about those who have Iman, it's always connected to another statement. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna alladhina amanu, and it's never left without another statement connected to that. Inna alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat, and those that are doing good deeds. They have Iman, and the Iman shows on the actions. They believe, they're doing the actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. So a person will not get except that which he strove for, that he himself made effort for. For one good deed, it's a minimum multiplied by 10. That's what you can look forward to. In this month of Ramadan, for a fard act, or for a sunnah act, you get the reward of a fard. And for a fard act, it is multiplied by up to 70 times. We know that for reading one half of the Quran, you get 10 rewards. And the Rasulullah says in the hadith, I'm not saying that alif, lam, mim is one. No, the alif is one letter. While the ham is one letter, and the mim is one letter. And for each letter, there is 10 rewards. If we recite in the Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, that is 19 rewards multiplied by 10, that is 190 rewards. But remember, in the month of Ramadan, everything is multiplied. لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. The person will not get except that which he strives for. I'm mentioning this so that inshallah it can inspire us to utilize this month, utilize it to cash in, utilize it to ensure that we are going to maximize in terms of our reward, maximize in terms of ensuring that our Jannah is secured. And this is what the month is about, refining ourselves and building our Jannah, refining ourselves and ensuring that inshallah we are far, 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 far away from Jahannam. So very importantly, we will only get what we strive for. Those who believe and they're doing good deeds, Allah says, كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا. For them is the highest place in Jannah, Jannatul Firdaus, through action. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says over here, وَأَنَّ سَعْيَهُ, and indeed his efforts, his sa'i, his striving. If you look at the word sa'i, sa'ya, sa'yun, and you think about the you're going on Umrah, then the sa'i is when you have to walk from Safa to Marwa 7 times. It's about the effort. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنَّ سَعْيَهُ, and indeed his effort, his sa'i, his striving, سَوْفَ يُرَى, soon it will be shown to him. Soon we are going to see the reward of our efforts, inshallah. Soon we are going to see it. It's basically a glimpse away where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward us. Bismillah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ يُجَزَى. This is where it comes. Through the effort, through the striving, through fulfilling our responsibilities, ثُمَّ يُجَزَى. Then he will be rewarded. ثُمَّ يُجَزَاهُ جَزَاءَ الْأَوْفَى. He will be rewarded a jaza that is al-awfa. Now, look how unique Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses his words. The word that was used for Ibrahim alayhi salam was wafa. He fulfilled his responsibility. And we had a discussion on us fulfilling our responsibility. And should we fulfill our responsibility, then we would be rewarded and recompensed. A jaza. What kind of jaza? What kind of reward? Al-awfa. This word comes on a sighatul tafdeel, where it's showing degrees of comparison. So good, better, and best. Awfa means you will be most fulfilled. The most fulfilling reward one can think of, and that is what one is going to receive because of fulfilling his responsibility. So the wording over here is really, really amazing. Wafa to fulfill. Awfa, in response to you fulfilling your responsibility, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you something that is awfa, even more fulfilling than what you had done. This is what we can look forward to. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about Jannah, it is the most amazing descriptions. It is descriptions that um, we can only desire and we can only wish for, and through that desire we start treading a path. We start treading a path to earn our our Jannah. The month of Ramadan is the perfect time to capitalize on this opportunity. So just very quickly before we go on to the next verses, we are speaking about somebody that had an opportunity to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But someone convinced him otherwise, and he accepted the advice of the other person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala questions his choice. Does he know the unseen? Does he know the reality of what's going to happen because of his choice? And then does he not know what was told to Nabi Musa and told to Ibrahim alayhi salam? That is, that no carrier will carry the burden of another person. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was someone that fulfilled his responsibility. And thus, these are role models for us. These are people that did what they needed to do. They came, they did, and they left. Now the baton is handed over to me and you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then explains that no one will get except which they strove for. And soon we're going to see the efforts of our striving. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us بالجزاء with a jaza that is awfa, that is completely most fulfilling. We will be extremely happy. I remind myself and yourselves of the hadith of our beloved Prophet Muhammad when he says that in Jannah فيها ما لا عين رأت, is what the eye has never even seen, ولا أذن سمعت, that which the ear has never heard of. There's certain things that the ears have never ever heard of. ولا خطر على قلب بشر, and the heart has never ever perceived certain things that awaits the person in Jannah. We look at the next few verses and then we'll conclude inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us وَأَنَّا, and indeed إِلَى رَبِّكَ, to your Lord, al-muntaha, from the word naha, intaha, to your Lord is the final place. To your Lord is the final abode. To your Lord is the destination. This is what we are doing. Inna lillahi, from Allah did we come, wa inna ilayhi rajiun, and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we are returning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks in another place, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ, so where are you going? Where are you going? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks as well, يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانِ, O mankind, مَا غَرَّكَ بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ, what has deceived you, what has caused you to turn away min rabbika al-kareem, from your most honorable Lord? What has turned you away from you? So Allah says, وَأَنَّ إِلَى رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the end result. Is the end result. Let's take a moment. Let's reflect. Let's think about the end in mind. Let's think of the day that we are resurrected. Let's think about us standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It can sometimes be a very scary thought. It can sometimes bring shivers. But in thinking about it and looking at the reality of that day and seeing where you find yourself, you can then come back to reality and either adjust it in such a way that you need to change certain things, or you can see that, okay, you are on a good path and maintain it and increase. Let's take a moment. We are standing on the day of Qiyamah. We have been resurrected. It is the end point. We are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are now going to be questioned about our life. We are now going to be questioned about our efforts, our sa'i, our striving. We're going to be questioned about what we did. We're going to be questioned as to whether we fulfilled our responsibility. If you think about that particular day, you think you're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that on this day we're going to be shown our actions. On this day that everything is going to speak, the earth is going to speak. What feeling do you get? What do you see there? Do you see yourself comfortable? Do you see yourself okay? You see yourself ready for the questioning? Do you find yourself hopeful that when you are questioned, you'll be able to answer all the questions, that you can represent your deeds in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and through those deeds you are entered into Jannah? What feeling do you get when you stand there? Picture it, see it. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we have the ability to imagine. Allah granted us the ability to imagine. Whenever Allah subhanahu speaks about these things in Jannah, it's because He wants us to imagine it. He wants us to see it. So stand in the moment. Picture yourself there. It is the end. You are standing in front of Allah. What do you feel like? What are you hopeful of? Are you okay? Are you safe? Are you ready to present your life's worth? Okay, come back to reality. We're back in this world. Me and you, we've been given another chance. Every day when you wake up, it's another chance. So what did you see there? What was it like to be there? Are you ready for that day? Whatever your answer is, if it is no, you're not ready, then what steps do you need to take to be ready? I remind myself and yourselves that there are 7 categories of people that will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa shade, and Allah subhanahu wa throne where there's no shade except His shade. 7 categories of people. Perhaps we can strive to be one of them that won't find any difficulty on that day. If you felt anything other than discomfort, if you felt okay, then perhaps you can maintain your efforts towards that day to ensure that it remains in alignment with that, or perhaps increase. But I think the reality, the way I felt now, I felt like, okay, there's certain things that I still need to do, there's certain things that I still want to increase on. Sometimes thinking about this reality, thinking about that day, it really shifts our mind from what we're currently busy with and currently after and currently chasing and currently absorbing our lives in, and thinking, oh my word, I need to take a moment and ensure that I'm okay that day. And this is what it is about. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the end point. There we're going to stand, there we're going to be questioned. If we fulfill our responsibility, wafa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He gives us jaza al-awfa, the reward is even more fulfilling. He gives our book in our right hand, and we are going to shout at how Muqraw Kitabia, here's your book, here's my book, read it. We're going to tell everyone to read it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us such an opportunity that we can shout out that everyone needs to read our books. But لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. People don't get except what they strove for, what effort they made for. What effort they made. So we are on this journey. We are on this path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Focus on the path and align your goals and your objectives to ensure that you are safe on that particular day. We look at the next verse. Subhanallah, very deep contemplation. وَأَنَّهُ He, indeed He, Allah, Huwa, is the one who أَضْحَكَ ضَحِكَ. ضَحِكَ means to laugh. أَضْحَك is to make someone laugh. Allah says He is the one that has made you laugh. Even your times of joy comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَبْكَى, and your times of sadness, this causes you to cry as well. And this is part of our belief, this is part of our aqidah. وَقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ مِنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. Whatever happens, whether it's good, whether it's sometimes not good, whether it's sometimes bad, وَقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ مِنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. This comes from Allah. Even deeper than that, as this verse explains, that not only the events that happen, but the feeling of joy. Adhak. Allah is the one that causes that. Abka, and sometimes He causes us to cry. And that crying should be tears that causes us only to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And times it's going to be tears of joy. وَأَنَّهُ, and Allah reminds us, وَأَنَّهُ, and it is indeed, it is He, huwa, that amata, yumitu, from maut, that causes death. وَأَحْيَا, and He is the one that has granted life. We are alive only through the permission of Allah. And when it is time to go, it will only be through the permission of Allah. وَأَنَّهُ, and He reminds us, indeed, that He خَلَقَ, He has created الزَّوْجَيْن, the two types, the two partners, الذَّكَر, the male, والأنثى, and the female. How did He create them? مِن نُطْفَةٍ, from a drop of fluid. نُطْفَة is a drop of sperm. إِذَا تُمْنَى, when it is emitted. Our entire process of life from the beginning, when we are entered into the wombs of our mothers, until we come out of the homes of our mothers, until we grow into youth and adolescence and we grow into adulthood, it is under the eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala maintains us and sustains us and allows us the ability to be well, strong, and grants us the ability to do. To the extent that even when we laugh, it is Allah that's causing us to laugh. And even when we cry, at times we're going to be sad. It's an opportunity to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the sadness. The focus of a year is not to focus on anyone or anything else. It's to focus on Allah. Focus on the day that we're going to stand in front of Him and strive and make effort towards that day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us via these verses the reality of what we need to do. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a blessed month of Ramadan, a month of Ramadan that is filled with barakah and khair. I want to leave you with this, inshallah. We are only in the second day, have completed the second day of the month of Ramadan. If you do not have a plan yet, as my beloved Ustad Muhammad Ali says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So after listening to this talk, get out your planner. What is it that you hope to achieve this month? And document it and put that down. Document it and put that down. I conclude on this note. I say shukran to you for listening. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us, inshallah. We end on that. Jazakallah khair. Wa akhir da'wana. Alhamdulillah.
إن ضاقت الدنيا ارتحلنا عاليا لسنا الذين على الحياة نضام نرقى جموعا كل يوم.
The Inat Foundation is an NPC and a PBO that was established to support and develop NGOs within our community. We specifically provide support funding to make sure that these NGOs are sustainable. We also provide teacher training and development to ensure that the teachers there and the staff there are up to scratch. And we also provide support in terms of equipment funding and stationery and infrastructure.
I'm teaching madrasa here in Cape Town at Halal Masjid in Clovin. That place before it was Shabin. Now alhamdulillah we thank Allah there's madrasa there. People can go there and pray. Children going there for learning madrasa now instead of that Shabin.
We adopt a collaborative approach. That we collaborate with all sectors of community, from those who have all the resources and the funding to those who need it, and we try to develop solutions together.
The main challenges we have is financial assistance, and the space we running madrasa and the sub kitchen is very small. The kids which we started with them right from the beginning, they knew nothing, and now alhamdulillah they know to read some few surahs from the Quran.
We thank Allah for giving opportunity for Inlight to know us, and if you continue that thing, I think Islam will be fine here in South Africa.
If you'd like to contribute, if you'd like to help in person with your du'as, please do so. May Allah bless and protect. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ودفاعهم هل ترتجى يا شام